This is rental car number 121. Today I'm driving the 2019 Nissan Rogue SL with all-wheel drive. This is a 5-passenger crossover SUV that retails for around $34,000 or so. And it's actually the top trim level on the Rogue, which means this thing is chocked full of accessories. My favorite being you have intelligent cruise control with ProPilot Assist. It's all fancy marketing talk. For basically what it means though is that this is adaptive cruise control. So when you set cruise, it'll match the speed of the car in front of you and even bring the Rogue to a complete stop if the car in front of you stops. And you will never have to touch the brake pedal for that. You also have steering assist technology, which means the car will sense the lanes in the road, keep the car in the center of that lane, and even steer the car through gentle curves. It is a ton of fun to play around with. So much so that I had to make a completely separate video because I don't want to talk excessively about ProPilot in this review. Anyway, lots of other accessories, 19-inch alloy wheels that have kind of a shark fin type design on them. You get premium sound, high beam assist, so the car will actually turn the high beams on and off for you depending on who's coming your way. You also get automatic rear braking, Apple CarPlay, and Android Auto. So much to talk about. Let's dive in by opening up the hood, because underneath you're going to find a 2.5-liter 16-valve 4-cylinder engine. It's got an Xtronic, I really don't know how to say that word, Xtronic CVT, that's a continuously variable transmission with sport mode shifter. More marketing talk. Essentially this means that you can pop that gear shift over to the left and shift the gears manually if you so desire. You get some decent power with the Rogue, 170 170 horsepower at 6,000 RPMs, and you get some good gas mileage. 25 miles per gallon in the city, 32 on the highway with a combined rating of about 27. Your fuel tank capacity is 14.5 gallons. Gas by me right now is about $2.58 a gallon, so that means you can fill this thing up, at least by me, for about $37. Alright, so that's a lot of specs and numbers. Let's talk about what it's actually like to drive this car in the real world. Now, I was lucky enough to have the Rogue for almost an entire week, so I got to put a lot of miles on this thing. And what I was most impressed with was the handling. It corners really well. I spend most of my time in sedans just because that's what the rental companies give me. And whenever I upgrade to an SUV, sometimes I feel like when I'm going around a corner that I'm slipping a little bit, or I get that sense that if I push the car a lot harder, I might actually tip over. But you don't get that with the Rogue. It really does feel like a sedan, and corners just really smooth. Acceleration is also really nice. It's peppy and responsive, so it kind of got a quick and fun type vibe to it, but it's not scary fast, which for someone like me is probably a good thing. I don't need a lot more speeding tickets. But it might be a disappointment to you, because if you're looking for something crazy quick, this might not be the car for you, but if you need enough speed to pass people on the interstate and have a little bit of fun here and there, I think you're going to be happy with the Rogue. So here's the remote. It's Nissan's standard remote. I've seen this on pretty much all their vehicles for the last 3 or 4 years. It's an oval shape. You got remote start on the top, lock and unlock buttons, a trunk release, and then a panic button at the bottom. Really nothing on the back at all. To start the vehicle, we're just going to push the button right here up on the dash and watch it boot up. So let's start with the steering wheel. You have volume buttons right here, controls to interact with the screen and the gauge cluster right here. These buttons down here adjust the track or the song that you're listening to on the entertainment features in the touch screen. On the right hand side we have our cruise controls. Now this is adaptive cruise control. Nissan calls it their ProPilot system. So essentially what this means is that when you set cruise, the car is going to sense vehicles in front of you, and it's going to decrease the speed to match the car in front of you. And you can set the distance that the car is going to keep from a vehicle in front of you by pressing this button right here. Otherwise, the cruise features work pretty much the same. Down below there, we have a button to interact with the voice assistant feature on the vehicle and answer or hang up a phone call. Up above, we have a beautiful gauge cluster, RPMs on the left, speedometer on the right, and a pretty large center screen in the middle. There's actually quite a bit of features on here to interact with. A compass, your fuel economy gauge, you can see both your average speed and a digital speedometer, and then there's a pretty big menu structure here to turn on and off all the features on this car. This was organized pretty well. I like how easy it is to find exactly what I need and turn it on or off, basically just a click of a button. To the left, we have window controls and door locks. Up above are your mirror controls. You also have a silver door handle and a latch. There are memory seat buttons kind of hidden right here in the corner. Up on the dash, if you see, there's actually a lot of buttons. This will adjust the brightness of the display in the gauge cluster. You also have your trip reset button down here. You have traction control, steer assist technology, so this will sense the lanes in the road, keep the vehicle in the center of the lane, and even steer the car through gentle curves. It's actually quite a bit of fun to play around with. A trunk release and a fuel cap release. Down below we have a heated steering wheel control, the all-wheel drive on and off button, and then you can shift the vehicle between sport and eco mode, and then all the way at the bottom we have the trunk release. Up top we have a large side view mirror. This has a blindside detection. Unlike most of the vehicles out there, there's no indicator in the mirror itself. On Nissans, the blindside indicator is right here. It's just a small light that's going to blink yellow if someone is in your blind spot. And you have the exact same control on the passenger side as well. Up top we have lights to turn on and off to illuminate the cabin, an SOS button right here, and a sunglass holder. Your rear view mirror has a couple of buttons on there. That's to program your garage door openers if you choose to, and then a button to turn on and off the automatic dimmer feature. Down below there we have our hazard buttons, and then the touchscreen. This is, I'd say, a smaller size than I've seen on a lot of comparable SUVs, but it works great, has nice bright colors, and dedicated menu buttons on the bottom, so it's pretty easy to navigate to the settings that you want. There's also actual physical controls on the left and the right-hand side to interact with everything. All I care about with stuff like this is, can I, quickly get to the nav screen? You can on this one. And can I hook my phone up via Bluetooth, and will it play my audiobooks and my podcasts pretty easily? And Nissan has that down. You can hook your phone up probably within about 20 seconds and the connection is solid the whole time. I should also mention that when you put the car into reverse, you do get a view of directly behind the vehicle. So you can see I'm parked in my driveway right now, so you can see my fence and my driveway and my house. And you also get a view of all the way surrounding the vehicle. So you can see there's my garage, the fence, and then the driveway surrounding the vehicle. This is okay. I think it's useful in that you can see what's behind you and next to you, but you shouldn't expect the display to be perfect. It does kind of warp things a little bit, so when people are walking by, for instance, they look pretty crazy. I bring up the camera a bit, I want to show you something else. So I'm going to put this in park. The camera goes away, but you can press the camera button right here. And now we can see in front of the vehicle. See, there's my garage and my fence. When I bring the camera up, you can see that's the actual view in front of the vehicle. You can see all around the vehicle, but if we press the camera button again, now we get a different view. So this is of what's next to the vehicle on the passenger side. And I just think this is super helpful because this is basically the area of the car that's hardest to see. So you can see exactly where the front of the vehicle is. It kind of gives you some guides right here. So you know exactly where you can park, which, I don't know, that's pretty fantastic in my book. Below there we have our climate controls, 2 knobs to adjust the temperature, just a simple button to adjust the fan, and then pretty simple buttons everywhere else to control all the other important features like your defrost settings. Alright, down below there we have a nice storage area that's perfect to keep a cell phone. You also have a power port, a USB port, and an auxiliary jack. Over on the side we have our electronic parking brake. Just pull it up to activate and push it down to deactivate the parking brake. This is the auto hold feature right here. What that basically means is that when you bring the car to a full stop, the vehicle will stay stopped even though you release your foot from the brake pedal. It seems like it might be a simple feature, but it's actually pretty convenient, especially when you're doing a lot of stop and go driving. Behind there we have the gear shift. It's kind of a plastic material with a leather down below. Shifts through those gears really smoothly. And then you also have sport mode capability, so If you choose to, you can pop the gear shift to the left and then shift the gears by pushing up or down while you're driving. Behind there we have 2 cup holders and then a nice storage area. This is actually where I've been keeping my phone while I've been driving. And then you have the heated seat controls right here, off, low, and high. I gotta say, it's pretty cold right now, and this thing was a lifesaver this morning when I drove to work. Behind there we have a center armrest. I'm not sure about you, but I kind of like this pattern that they've cut into the armrest. It's kind of nice. Anyway, it opens up to reveal a large storage area. I got a fancy light, so let's try this out right now. Let me turn it on so you can see inside. So pretty big storage area. You also get a power port and a USB port in there, and it looks like a small kind of cutout that's perfect for some change. This thing works pretty well. And then on the passenger side you have your glove box. Nice large size. Got the owner's manual in there right now. Looks like you'll have plenty of room to store your manual, registration materials, and some other things if you choose to use this space. Another kind of fun feature is that you get a first aid kit with this vehicle. It's a nice leather and it has Velcro straps on the back so that it can stick to most of the materials in the trunk space, which is nice because you can move it around and it'll stay put even while you're driving. Let's take a look inside. Inside you get scissors, burn cream, band-aids, bandages. Looks like you even get a glove, tweezers, and a magnifying glass. I mean, this is a pretty legit first aid kit, which is great to see, especially in a vehicle like this. Alright, so I jumped in the back seat. Now, the driver's seat is pushed back all the way, and as you'll see, I still have probably 3 or 4 inches of legroom between my knees and the back of that seat, which is a great thing to see. Also, we have pockets on the back of the seats, both on the driver's seat and the passenger seat. These are made out of leather. Not bad. I mean, you don't get a whole lot of space. Looks like someone was kind enough to leave me I'm gonna guess that's a Starbucks straw and a napkin. It's pretty nasty. Anyway, you don't get a whole lot of space back here, but there's enough to store some odds and ends. Also, on the back of the center armrest for the front seat passengers, I'm using a fancy light. You get 2 dedicated vents, but no power ports down below at all, which is kind of disappointing because it's nice to have those kind of features for your passengers. On the door itself, just your standard controls, window controls, a door lock, and a door latch. Now there's also a center armrest. It doesn't just fold down like they usually do. You have to pull on this little strap right here to release it, and then the armrest will fold down. On the back of it, you'll see you get 2 cup holders. Last thing I want to look at is the car seat anchors, and it's pretty nice to see that Nissan has made these extremely shallow. You can actually see the car seat anchor without manipulating the seats. So it should be fairly easy to install a car seat back here if you need to. Last thing, I also want to mention that these seats are somewhat adjustable, so you can pull up on these metal levers that are underneath the seat itself and slide the seat forward. And as you can see, you can adjust the seat by about 4 or 5 inches, which isn't too bad. I mean, you don't have a whole lot of legroom left when you do that, but it's just nice to have that kind of mobility back here, so you can adjust the vehicle to fit with whatever unique situation you're dealing with. Alright, so let's close things out by taking a look in the very rear of the vehicle, because, you know, if you get an SUV, you need some storage room. Back here we have a very large space that's a nice rectangular shape, so you should be able to get quite a bit of items back here. Nissan also has this weird shelving system, which, to be honest, I've never really felt comfortable with. I play around with this thing every time I get a Rogue, and I can never really get it to a good setting that I like. But the idea here is that you can shift the floor so that you can create either a staggered shelf, or you can open up this area to reveal some additional storage space underneath. Additionally, if you want to pick up the entire floor of this area, there is a spare tire that's sort of hidden underneath, and that's always a good thing. It's also nice to see that there is a power port back here. It's tucked away on the right of the vehicle, although you will need an adapter to take advantage of this. And those rear seats do collapse. It's fairly easy to do. You just pull up on these little plastic tabs and the seats fall down without any effort at all. And then you can take advantage of the entire cabin space on the Rogue. Well, maybe not the entire cabin space. You do need to sit in the front seat, but you get what I'm saying. You get a large area here that you can store some pretty big items if you need to. Alright, so that's pretty much everything end-to-end on the 2019 Nissan Rogue SL with all-wheel drive. I gotta say, I really enjoyed driving this one, especially playing around with that new ProPilot technology. A couple of you have asked me to bring back the rating system that I used to do in my earlier videos, so, well, I'm gonna give this one 5 stars. No shock there. This thing is a ton of fun to drive. If you get a chance, please go out and test drive the SL and tell me what you think. Anyway, that's it for now. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you join me next time when I rent and review my 122nd rental car. I'll see you then.